All right. Here we go. Let's take one in from um Fable White says, "Dear the last true esteemed video game journalists."
We're doing our best, everybody.
Expedition 33 has proven that you don't need an explosive budget to make a full experience that consumers will enjoy, which has come at the perfect time given the conversation of us already experiencing a very slow video game crash, which I agree is the case. It poses the question if Mega Studios should pivot to AA as a way of recouping costs, and what could possibly be, and how they could execute this with some major IPs. For example, if you could make a AA Final Fantasy game that was completely stylized in Amano's concept art as originally intended, therefore you're not sacrificing the visual novelty of the beautiful work, and it doesn't require heavy graphics and processing of other expensive bits. So the question is, what quadruple or AAA game series would you love to see reworked as AA? And
all of them.
How could you see it work? I mean, the answer is truly all of them. If I had
all
to,
of them.
The first thing that comes to mind for like, I can't. It's weird because I haven't touched any of the recent ones, but I feel like Assassin's Creed could massively benefit from not being what it is and from just chilling, going back to the concept level and executing something a little more directed, a little more small, and a little more pointed in the promise of what the franchise is, which is like you can go different places in history and experience cool things. You know,
I would kill for getting an old style, like classic style Resident Evil that cost like $12 and some buttons to make every 18 months.
See, it's funny though, because like I guess I'm thinking of triple and quadruple A kind of like slop served, as opposed to like the RE games come out fairly infrequently, right? Like they wait.
Resident Evil games used to come out every year,
and now and
they used to be great,
2 per gen, you know.
And now we get 1 every 5 year, maybe, fucking whatever.
And like, they're doing, yeah, it's you know, it's become a different style of franchise. So I'm thinking of stuff that like, you know, hits that the again, like Ass Creed is like a great thing that comes to mind of like, there's anything where you're like, this is expensive and there's probably too many of these things, you know.
I think the like the number one easy would be Final Fantasy. I mean, this like, we're talking about Expedition 33. Like, I would kill for Final Fantasy games to just be simpler and cheaper. And
I think they're willing
to focus more about the things I actually care about.
I think they're willing to do that, and I bet you at some point in the future you will see exactly what you described, which is like a Mega Man 9 style Final Fantasy game. It just won't be numbered as the big, huge release. It'll just be like a side thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like there's a willingness to do that, but not to treat it as like a proper big number, you know?
Can I reverse the question a little bit?
How so?
I have a series and franchise that is single or AA that I would think would be cool if they actually tried to make a AAA one once ever in the history of decades. It would be cool to see like a Pokemon game that looked like a video game in current year.
I saw a lot of people saying Pokemon on the side there, and I was like, I don't think Pokemon fits into the triple or quadruple A feeling category, because like Nintendo AAA is
different.
It's a different bar you're lowering. Yeah, like you're like Breath of the Wild, you're going, wow, Nintendo really tried. You know, they pulled out all the stops on that one, but that's not compared to the rest of the industry.
I just wanted to make fun of Pokemon there for a second.
Okay.
You know what? Actually, man, you know what I think we're gonna see? I think we're seeing it right now. I think we saw a company have ridiculous, massive success with a AAA and a game I would describe as quadruple A. Now going back and going, hey, we're gonna make AA games for a while, and it's from Software. Elden Ring was in development for so fucking long and was so big
that we're
that
now
From
recouping.
Software is now going, hey, maybe we're gonna fucking dial it back a little bit for a while, huh?
Yeah. We're in the cocooning phase, and they're allowed. They're allowed. You know, Elden Ring is an obnoxiously insane, unsustainable way to go. You did too much. We loved it, but holy shit, take a break. You're fine. Absolutely scale it back.
I mean, shit. When did Elden Ring
Start.
develop? Yeah, when did they start on that, man? They started right after Sekiro, which is 2019. And well, they probably started earlier, actually. Right? 2017. They started in 2017, and Shadows of the Erd Tree came out in fucking 2024. So they spent 7 years on Elden Ring in some fashion. I would want to work on something different.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of Elden Ring.
That's longer than the suggested career time, you know, at a studio if you're trying to, you know, move up and work on different projects. What was it? Oh yeah, no, just when you mentioned Pokemon earlier, I was going to say that, like, I remember feeling that way a bunch, and, you know, around X and Y time, like, we talked about it because that was like the last one I actually like picked up and went in on. But the Legends series exists now, and I don't know how much those are like doing the game that we kind of hoped to get a long time ago, but they seem to be a full, you know, like, step up from what the original Pokemon top-down sort of limitations were.
Yeah.
So
I think we're kind of in a weird situation for this because, like, you and I, for literally the entire time we've been talking about shit on the internet, have been caught in the trap of, wow, that new thing looks really incredible. Wow, that looks so cool. While simultaneously going, but I'd actually be cool for PS2 games forever. Mm-hmm. Just, you know, fix the, you know, put it at a higher resolution and make it run at a decent frame rate. But yeah, I'm good with PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games forever.
Mm-hmm. Indies are a really interesting case study because they started out emulating retro games as a nostalgia thing, and now it's just a practical budget, and
it's practical.
Like,
it just has to look unique enough and visually appealing enough that you can see, you know, what's happening.
Shit coming out in 8 or 16 or 32-bit style sprites is like, yeah, no, that's an affordable way to make a game, and you can still tell great stories and do great things. It's totally
like there's a first-person dungeon crawler that came out today that looks like a PS2 game. It just happens to run at a high frame rate and a good resolution, called Labyrinth of the Demon King, where it's like a From Software first-person dungeon crawler in, like, feudal Japan.
I never would have predicted this future, you know? I thought
and it looks like the grimiest fucking thing.
I thought that
was great,
that we would always be homaging, you know, earlier generations and stuff, but I never thought it would just be like, actually, like, nah, this is an affordable way to develop games. Let's just stick here, you know? Or you can go hard if you want to with it and you know, build on what those sprites are doing. We don't need
bump mapping. No one's ever needed it.
And when I see an 8-bit sprite that, like, gets, like, magically lit in an Octopath kind of way, I go, whoa! The sprite got lit!
Ray tracing is totally pointless. You know why I like ray tracing? Like, genuinely, as, like, the new push behind graphics? Because it's an easy thing to turn off and get an extra 30 frames.
I turned it on for a second in DMC5, and then I was like, okay, cool. We're good. Yeah. Bump mapping can be used effectively in some cases.
There's no reason to have anything but pre-baked lighting and blob shadows.
As somebody who actively was, like, working on game environment maps, and, you know, like, back when I was using and making textures in 3D Studio Max and stuff, like, we would use it to make some shit look a little bit better. You know, but
yeah, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean in the modern context. Yes, 100%. It's not the same thing.
The Devil May Cry 3 Crimson mod is coming out today in like an hour or two, And that does a lot of stuff. I'm going to cover it on the channel. But one of the things it does, it goes, hey, what if Devil May Cry 3 just ran at a slightly higher frame rate and had the interface redone to look like good at high resolutions? I'm like, oh yeah, okay, that's all. Yeah, fine. DMC 3 at a higher resolution and better frame rate and better UI. Okay, great, good.
One of the funniest things in Expedition 33 is how you go through the map in some areas, and it's so made for you to walk from outdoors into this cave, and you see the lighting change. But then if you
it's
run,
like Dark Souls 1, man.
And you see, and when you run backwards, it's like, no,
the
don't do that.
Yeah.
And like the bloom, and like you're blind. You're completely blind. It's like, you're not supposed to be here. Don't run backwards.
It's like when you walk through the door from the depths into Blight Town, and the game's entire lighting models go.
It's crazy,
to
right?
green.
And one time I was able to peek at the sky, and you saw the skylights shift out of position.
Oh yeah, it's great.
And the shadows slide around. It was so funny. I'm like, God damn.
Yeah, who gives a shit?
That's fucking
it's not a realistic flight. Who gives a shit?
God. From cave.
Like one of the Kingdom Come Deliverance, I was playing that a bunch in the second game. One of the reasons the second game runs really, really well, considering it's showing like hundreds of fucking characters and all these super depth and forests, is it's all pre-baked lighting. They just made a lot of pre-baked lighting for like every significant time of day, so the game doesn't have to calculate lighting.
Done.
You save so much performance to just not do that.
100%.
Remember Shadow of the Colossus? Just had fake lighting. It just had a different light box if you were inside or outside. That's it.
Cook those fucking.
Fuck you.
Cook those textures, man.
That's all you need.
Cook that shit right onto the model. Hell yeah, I approve. I mean, look, Guilty Gear Strive is doing amazing things when every single individual character has their own rig for all situations.
Absolutely, it's crazy.
But we can't set that as a bar that people are gonna strive towards.